Welcome, one and all, to another Humpday Q&A.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a lovely, warm, sunny day here. Can't
Notice
get over
all
it.
of the toy fluff guts
Oh
all
dear.
over the floor there.
Oh dear.
Somebody wants her daddy.
So, I think we can just go straight into the show, and we're going to get started with get your questions in the chat with the queue in front. Soon you get them in, soon we get them answered. So get them in now. Right, let's do the usual. Scott.
Sorry, I'm too busy laughing from a comment. I'm glad you're just kidding. Be nice, be respectful, be constructive. Don't talk about certain other frameworks. Don't post anything that's adult, rude, offensive, otherwise against common sense. Don't advertise or promote anything. We all know you need a job. Oh, man. Here's a real one, and we enforce this one. Don't keep asking your same question over and over again. Every time the question comes up, we put it at the bottom of the list. Even if there are 10 questions and you were next, you're going to go to the bottom of the list. Hint, hint. Post it once. That's it. Harassment of any kind, of course. No incels, bigotry, misogyny, all that other nonsense. We'll not only block you from here, we'll shop your name around to all the admins over in Reddit and Discord. I am the owner of the Flutter Community Slack. You will go away from there as well. And have a good time. This is all supposed to be fun.
Have
like the dog toys.
Let's do some brief, quick introductions. You've heard it all before, but my name's Simon Lightfoot, Flutter Community Leader, CTO at Dev Angels London, and you can follow me on Twitter at Dev Angels London. Scott.
My name is Scott Stahl. I am also a Flutter Community Leader since 2017, right there along with Simon, and co-organizer of GDG Cleveland, also IO Bound.
And we also have a Randall. Randall, welcome to the stage.
Hey, it's good to be back. I've been missing the last couple of shows, so happy to be back sitting in the big chair again. I am also IO bound for this my first conference in 6 years. So it'll be pretty interesting. I am a Google developer expert in the areas of Dart and Flutter, and I will be representing that at Google I/O because that's our particular group out there. And for this show, I am identifying questions in the chat. Put Q colon in front of your question, and I will flag it so that it's for our panel. If you don't put a Q colon in front of it, I'm presuming it's just chat amongst yourselves because that happens a lot too. So please put the Q there. That way it definitely stands out, and I definitely know it's for us and not just a random questions for that. In real life, I am a full-time Flutter developer. I've been doing this for, I've been a GDE for 5.5 years. So in theory, I've been doing it for that long. Of course, I didn't have a lot of work in the early days, but that's okay. I'm having great work now. I've got some really great couple of clients that are really keeping me busy.
And we also have a guest with us here. Derek, welcome.
Hello everyone. I'm Derek Rucha. I have my own Flutter app. I'm a Flutter enthusiast as well, and I started working recently as a senior Flutter developer. I also did that talk like 4 years ago about migrating from React Native to Flutter at Flutter London. And I think I have a good topic to discuss, good idea about Flutter and how make it even wider platform-wise. So the thing is white labeling widgets, components, white labeling full screens, how to approach it. There are stream extensions that we can use to make apps look differently. But what about the localizations? What about the accessibility? And maybe some tracking, how to handle those things, and in a way that it will be also useful and easy for the adopters, so that they don't pull the hair out of their head trying to copy something and create the structure of components just to change one label on the screen, or add bigger padding around an image, for example.
So you said you got localization, internationalization, accessibility.
Yeah.
Theming,
maybe also spacing, like paddings, margins, and tracking, like analytics.
Yeah, so analytics. Yeah, I mean, to say like you talk about white labeling. I mean, the nice thing you can say in general is that when it comes to like theming, you can just provide. I mean, the theme extensions, all the theme extensions really do is provide the extra fields to the current theme system. And that's just that you can then accept them by doing the dot extension, theme.of dot extension and getting them right. Like it does one of the
people.
Hang on, sorry. The theme extension thing, just so one point, the theme extension thing does one other thing which does transitions between themes. So if you don't, if you're doing white labeling, don't care about you're not going to change the theme all the time from like light to dark or whatever. Then you can just use a provider to like or whatever to like hand things down to widgets, I guess.
Yeah, I would still like to have the light and dark theme anyway. So that, and have that nice transition would be also good. Yeah. Scott.
Well, one thing you said, Simon, was that you add the things in the theme. For those who don't know, that was a bit vague. What we're talking about is just like you have what is standard now. Is they still calling it primary and secondary, or are they calling it something else? But anyway, that doesn't really matter. Those are the built-in ones. Theme extensions allow you to make up your own custom colors and strings and things and put them all into the theme. You can do whatever you want. You can build it into an entire theme, and then you can switch those themes. And yes, as Simon said, you could transition between them very nicely and beautifully. The question is, unless you're doing light and dark, why bother? However, having a whole bunch of different themes and being able to choose them depending on your white labeling situation, that's much more useful.
Yeah. The thing with theme extension is that they can also be abused, and you can also provide other things like strings, like localizations. It gives you that one entry point, like theme of extension, and you have all of the things that you want. But yeah, that's abusing those things. So I'm thinking like a separate context objects, let's say, or a provider, something that will provide different things. I'm mostly scared about the end user experience. Like you'll have a component, and then you need to provide like a structure for the theme or structure for the internationalizations or accessibility. And in that way, you will need to copy a lot of stuff. I'm mostly concerned about the nesting when you want to change like a label that is really deep in the object hierarchy. And then you need to provide like a copy of. I can probably use this for that, but it's as well.
I mean, that's where localization comes in handy, right? So in localization, you're essentially the same thing. You're providing, here's an object that has all my references to what text I want to display. And then the end place that actually displays the text asks for it from the context. So you're not having to pass anything down.
Yeah. So for localization, yes, it could be flat. Like you can have
but you can still treat the same thing for everything else, is what I'm thinking, right? So from a localization, internationalization perspective, the idea is to reach out of your widgets. Like you design your widgets a certain way, and you go, okay, what in this widget set should be international? What should be localized? What should be the accessibility, I don't think that's really something you need to like white label as such, but I don't know what the use case is. I mean, every layout should be accessible. Everything should be accessible. I don't think that it matters from a white label perspective, but theming and analytics, again, like just reaching out of your current context and fetching things.
accessibility is same thing like internationalization. You still need to have different languages to read for the screen readers to provide them with different data. That's the thing that I'm thinking about mostly. And sometimes it's nice to build custom international labels for components, because then it's, it gives better.
I would definitely do it. Yeah. I'm just trying to think if there's anything particular around white labeling that would be different. I mean, it just really depends on how flexible what you're trying to white label is, right? So from
Mhm.
I think the idea is not to think about white labeling, right? Think of it as building an SDK or a library, right?
Yeah.
What is the things that you actually want to be changeable by the end user of the SDK, and what are the things you want to keep private internal to the SDK, which is internal functionality, right? So the way that you do something is private, but the output of what you do is public, right? So things like the fact that you're using provider should not be made public. Like call your own methods, and those just happen to use provider internally, right?
True.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's fine, right? And then you've got the aspect of having an interface that you're using for theming, or an interface that you're using for various components and traits. Those are public, but but maybe the default implementations in your library are, have private implementations, as it were, right?
Yeah. That's a good point. That it depends on my end what I want to provide as an extension point, or as a customization. Probably all of the customers like to have everything customized, change trees to rows, etc.
I mean, but it's you get into you can get into that same situation, right, as a developer, which is up front, I want to make everything so flexible that it can do anything, and then don't ever fall into that thing, right?
Yeah.
So what you need to do right now is just go, what is it I need right now for the minimum use case MVP? Do that, and then when someone says I want to do this, okay, extract it from the application, put it into your theme or into your localization, and make that your white label piece, and just keep doing that, right? As the requirement comes along, do the refactoring work necessary to bring that content out of the application and make it accessible. Like, okay, they want a different logo on the home screen, so you're going to have like home screen image getter or whatever on your theme class, and then now you can change that wherever you want, and if it's null, it uses the default. Or logic, like there's things that you can do there, right, where you could actually have business logic, right? So you can actually do things like I'm just thinking like login, right? You might have a restriction on that login has to be an email address, the username box has to be an email address, and the password has to have certain validation set on it. Well, those things you could pull the validator out and have it supplied by the theme. Or same with or maybe you have sort of business logic, right? So you've got an interface that's supplied that provides some sort of functions that can be used by the rest of the application. Like you can have one which supports a tablet enabled true false, right? And your layout support tablet, but this white label customer may not want tablet support, or they haven't paid for it, right? So you don't enable it. And when they pay for it, you go, okay, true, right? But it's that kind of what I'm trying to get. It's that kind of thing, right? It's like I don't think there's any hard and fast way we could say, okay, do it this way because that's the best way. I think there's more a case of find out what is your MVP and use that as your base, right? And then think about how you can achieve that, and just lift that state up and out of the code base as it is right now. Again, I think there's how you're achieving white label is another thing that matters, right? So if it's like you've got different entry points, right? As your that you make a different main entry point for each of your white label deployments, or if you've actually got other things you can do with white labeling a Flutter app is you have a separate project entry point which has the iOS and Android folder in each one, so you can customize the native however you want, and then it loads a separate package, Dart package, which has all of the Flutter code in it into each one. And then you can have unique Flutter code just for each package. So if you want to add some business logic, it just exists in each one of those. That's another way of sort of dealing with it.
Yeah, we want to start with white label components and then organize those components in the customer app. The thing is that they already have the design system or their implemented design system, and I'm trying to like match the white label stuff with the design system that they have in a way that it won't be painful for them. Maybe I'm stretching a bit too much.
What? Sorry. So you're saying that the customer already has a theme design system that they want to use,
Yes, and yeah,
and they want to use your white label product, but have it match with their existing design system.
Yeah, and the design system is actually implemented in a Flutter. That's
okay. Well, that's not bad. No,
yeah.
I think then that really tells you what you need to know right there. So first of all, so it's a bit like this, right? When you have a text field, and I mean, think about the way Flutter does things, right? You have say a text form field, right, which has a input decorator. It does all this stuff. It puts the box around. It'll move the label up. But that is all to make it material design, right?
Yep.
But there's still edit text, which is the underlying text field, which is still functions, still works, but does nothing, right? So it's a case of finding the middle ground between those 2 points, right? So in terms of, you want your widget to be fundamental. Ideally, you want your components to be as basic gets, so that they don't provide any sort of hard and fast rules about their behavior, so they can fit in with someone's existing design system. And then you need a way of expanding upon them. I think what you're probably missing here is, it's a tough one, right? Because from an architectural perspective, ideally what you want to do is have your base widgets simple as possible, and you have an implementation that wraps those widgets unique for the customer using their design system. It's not really white labeling at that point, though, right? At that point, you're doing an implementation of it, right? I mean, but I mean, like it joins the two components together, right? The two systems together.
So yeah,
I don't think you could. Sorry, just to carry on what I was saying. I don't think you can do it any other way. And I tell you why, because you end up with components that have so many fields and options, like to support each different. Let's say they've got a design system that has rounded corners. This one's got square corners. This one's got, they've got different height, they've got different width, they've got a different background, they've got solids, they've got gradients, they've got this, they've got that. And before you know it, what you've just done is just filled up your entire theme system with all these different options, your entire widgets with all these different options. And you've done this broad scope problem here of now you don't know which parameter conflicts with which one, how they're being used. And each time you want to maintain that underlying thing, you've got to now maintain all this surface area. Just don't do that. That's the wrong.
Yeah. This is how I did it, like in my app. My app also supports theming, so I did it in my app this way. But right now, with the themes and theme extensions from Dart 3.0, I can use those objects, like theme data objects, theme data classes. Sorry,
you might be better off. I tell you, let me think of it as a hook-based system, right? Think of it as you have in your theme, an edit text theme builder, right? And its job is it gets a child widget and a build context.
Yeah.
And it wraps a widget with any other widgets that you want. So now you can do all your screens with your base set of widgets, and they all reach up to be wrap each widget at each level. That way you get to customize and can use composition at the top level, even though you're going to be affecting the entire layouts of all the screens that you've already done. That would be the best appropriate way to do it, because it means that you can just customize it unique for that customer in one place and don't change anything else. So you get the same behavior from the theming system, but you don't fall into the situation making it really, really broad.
And I think that you also would use the theme data and theme classes.
Honestly, it wouldn't. It matters. So all that theme extensions is a glorified provider.
Yeah.
Right?
But
and they link into the same theme system so that you can do transitions. If you want to do transitions and have it do that, then sure. But for the most part, if you're doing like this wrapping of widgets, then just do a separate thing altogether. That's not about colors. It's not about animations. It's not about that. So there's almost like theming in terms of the look of it and style of it versus theming in terms of behavior of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the difference. Maybe we could actually give this a go in a second if you're interested. Let's see what questions we've got and what we can get through in our time allotted. We've been talking enough, I think. Like that, we're giving people enough
and
time.
Just to let you all know, I have a training session I need to attend in 35 minutes. So I've got a nasty hard stop. All right. Simon, DIY CI/CD. How?
OpenCI. There you go.
There we go. There you go, buddy. OpenCI.
To be honest, there's the go-to answer has always been Jenkins, but Jenkins is tough. Like it's not. It's been an open source project for long years. It's not specifically designed in some modern concepts in mind. It is. I don't know. It's got its own set of problems, but I hear OpenCI is the way to go right now. So I have not used it though, so don't quote me on that. But there's the link in the chat. Open-ci.io. Flutter CID/CD for free for all developers. And there you go.
There we go.
But a birdie tells me there might be a talk about this at FlutterCon. Go get tickets. Talking about which?
FlutterCon. What's that?
Talking about that, the call for papers is closed, but I don't have another slide handy because I'm an idiot. But if you go to fluttercon.dev and use Humpday 25 as your code, you can get 25% off your tickets. How about that? So, Humpday 25 coming up on the 3rd to the 5th of July.
I am crossing my fingers that I will be there, but I need to check on a couple other things first.
So, sorry, just
yeah, we've got a million messages flying back and forth. If you all couldn't tell by my sitting here like this and typing. All right, we have a long question, Simon. You're going to need to pay attention to this one.
sure.
Say when. This is a URL that I am opening in a web view with my Flutter web app using WebView Flutter web package. On redirecting to a results screen, I want to handle the last navigation of the URL. And as the link changes, I want my web view to stop showing the previous screen and go fetch the changed URL in a text view in the web app. So I have used many WebView plugins, but no success.
The normal WebView plugin will do exactly what you want.
But it'll also allow you to pull out the result and put it into a text.
Yeah, of course you can. So what you're missing, I'm just going to see if I can find it for you. If I can find the official package, we're going to go a little exploration because I haven't touched this for a while. So let's give this a go. So there you go. Let's hide that comment for a second. There you go. So the point here is it's very common to do things like an authorization flow or some other flow in a web view, and at the very end of that flow, you want to get notified from the web view that it's finished, and then a person can continue inside the app, right? For example. So all the WebView stuff supports this flow, and if we use the right set parameters, we can do that. So navigation delegate is what you're looking for. Oh look, it's right here. Look, there you go. If the request on navigation request, if the navigation request starts with this URL, then prevent it from navigating. And then what you can do inside this prevent bit is also go pop navigator.pop or like change your app in some way. So this tells you that they've gone to go and try and navigate to YouTube. No web support it has. No web support it has. Sorry, this was
no web support. Which part has no web support?
No, was the question particularly around Flutter Web I missed that point.
No, the question was about Flutter Web. Apparently, saying that something you're talking about doesn't have.
In my web app, they're trying to use a web view. You don't have to use it. That's the reason why you can't find any plugin. You can't find any plugins. You don't need to. Web views already Flutter Web already support. Is it called an iframe?
I see what you mean now.
iframe. You don't need to do anything else, and you can literally just hook up an event on iframe. Look, here it is. So the package you're looking for is called Package Web, which is the official Dart Web package, and iframe, HTML iframe element. There you go, and then you'll have a bunch of events on here probably. Do actually have some properties that return streams. Let's have a stream. No, I don't want any of those streams.
Picky.
And I'll see if I can get around the. Oh, fine. Yeah, look. So you got, so they're called event handlers now. Sorry, they changed their names. This is what I was looking for. There you go. Look, on blur, on before, on a ball, and all the documentation for this kind of stuff is actually in the stand. It's called MDN, or Mozilla Developer Network. So the standard docs on the Mozilla site for all of these things. But anyway, you can see here, this is on a web view. This is on iframe. And what you're looking for, the onload is the one you're looking for. And this event is fired. So you put an event handler in. Anyway, and this event is fired when some new content is loaded in the iframe. If you go to the Mozilla Development Network, I'll put links to actually both these. And let's get the package web up. So this is package web. I'll pop that in the chat for you. And then it was the Mozilla Development Network, this one here. Pop this one in the chat. And it's the same thing. You go in here, and we do a zoom out here. We do a search. iframe. There you go. iframe, HTML element. Here's how it works. Here's what happens. Here's all the different parameters. Here's how you use it. You can just go find lots of documentation online about how to do this kind of stuff with iframe. So the general thing is, an iframe is what we consider in the mobile world a web view. It's the same thing. It's here's a box somewhere in your content which displays a website or web page, right? So there you go. And then the question ended with when the link changes, they want the web view to stop showing the last screen. Yeah. So again, you do the onload, and when it matches the URL you're looking for, you then just delete the widget or whatever you want to do, right? Was there a second part to that somewhere? I can't find it. Probably.
That's it was wanted to take something out of it and put it into a text.
Yeah, I can't see that part of the question, but yeah. So the way you do that again is with JavaScript, right? That's what I was showing. That wait a minute. Change your in my text view in my web app. Maybe you can rephrase it, but hopefully that puts in the right direction. But yeah, iframes is what you're missing. To get an iframe working in Flutter, you need to do what's called a platform view. There is actually documentation on the Flutter site somewhere. Flutter here. Using HTML slots to render platform views on web. Hang on, let's see. This is probably. I think. Sorry, bear with. Just checking something. Yeah. Okay, that doesn't help. Does this have one for web? Maybe that's why I should do a talk on how you do this on web, because the website
Simon,
doesn't seem to
we're the only ones who can see your screen. It's not.
I know that I wasn't going to show it, but
Okay.
no, like looking at this, hosting native Android views. I'm like, well, where's the web views and display images in web? Like, yeah, there's nothing here really. Like, so I think we're missing out on that right now.
Thank
The
you for waiting
documentation.
until I was yawning.
You're welcome. It just seems to be quite sparse, which I'm just quite surprised by.
Well, there you go, Simon. You can write new documentation for that the same way I'm writing it for some things.
It's funny enough, like I can't believe that there's not some really good documentation on that. I feel like I must be missing it, but nope, it's just missing.
Yeah. It's okay. When I'm done with the Flex, I think I'm going to head over to RFW. Hixie was already apologizing to people for the lack of documentation.
I may have a gist. I may have a gist for this, so I will see if I can hunt that down quickly. Oh look, iframe, web embed iframe. Oh, there you go. We did it in January. We already did it in January. There you go. Yeah. So this is Flutter web iframe embeds. There you go. So yeah, UI web, and then we embedded a bunch of videos in the scroll view, a bunch of YouTube videos. So you can see here the YouTube player. And then if you scroll down, there you go. So we register a YouTube player that puts in a HTML iframe. And we could stick like a listener on here for listening to events. And this, we did some magical stuff with pointers because we were trying to have it scroll even when the mouse is over the top of the HTML window. So we did some weird event stuff. And that was it. And you put HTML element view in. So, yeah, hopefully that points people in the right direction if you're interested in adding custom iframes or HTML elements to your Flutter app.
All righty. We have a couple of similar questions here. Let me ask the elephant in the room. Flutter is dead or alive? Oh, my God. What's the future of Flutter? Oh, my God. Well, here's the simple way to put it. Do you really think Google's going to let other people have control of the SDK that they built AdSense and GPay on?
I mean, people do. It's open source, but not in that way yet. I mean, they're not getting rid of it. Why would they?
No.
Like they're stuff. They've got entire infrastructure in terms of inside the company that's based on it.
Yeah, they don't. Even if they didn't care about the rest of the world at all, I think it's at this point. I think it's what, a third of their internal apps are Flutter. Something ridiculous.
The other side to say here, right, is even if like we said this before, remember, like Scott, we got these questions. We have had these questions every year since 2018 when we did DroidCon London. Every DroidCon London, there's people come up, what happens if it gets cancelled? It's like, well, it hasn't happened in all this time. I don't see it happening. It's been going strength to strength. But more to the point, even if it did, there's so many other companies using it, then you'd set up there'd be, like it's happened before in open source projects. A non-profit organization spins up, all the companies jump into it, and it continues on, and they all put a developer from each of their teams on the project, and it proceeds as normal. There you go.
For different reasons, for tax reasons with our Patreon, we're already spinning up a nonprofit. But that's for tax purposes for us. Now, it has been discussed among some people going back, what, Simon, 3 years, that if Flutter were to be basically, instead of Google controlling the landing of PRs, if they were to allow that to be controlled outside of Google, then there's a list of people ready to pick this up. And a lot of them have either already been on the Flutter team or they've been around Flutter since 2017. I mean, there's a list.
I mean, officially, there's quite a few people that can.
Also keep in mind that this already happened with Angular Dart. Google decided not to support the external version of Angular Dart anymore, and now it's a community-led project. So it's not like it went away. Google still uses their version of Angular Dart internally really heavily, but the external version is now a fork.
Yeah. And it's
Right.
the one thing you would want to try to prevent is every single company doing their own different fork. What would be a lot better is to have a foundation where a bunch of companies each donate some money, less than what it would cost them to run their own team, but all pitching in together, we could fund a full-time team in order to keep it rolling. And that it's very similar to what Matt Carroll does with the Flutter Bounty Hunters. He has different companies that contribute because they want a specific package made. So then Matt and his team will make that package being funded by a bunch of different companies who all pay very little and then who all get to use it. And also the package is available to the public for free. That's part of the deal. So who would maintain Impeller for 5 platforms if Google decides to move on? Probably the same people who are putting in the PRs right now, because I have a feeling that's coming from the community, and then the PRs are being landed within Google. However, there might be more of that coming from inside the team. And Shivam, you just lost your place in line and went to the bottom. You asked the same question again. Anyway, but yeah, if Google stopped supporting Flutter, believe me, there's a whole list of people. I can name some of them right now, people who are ready to help. One is Martin Jarrett, from a CEO of Nevercode, of Code Magic. He's already said he's ready to go in case something like that happens. Maurice from Somnio Software and OrderY.
Loads
and
of
a whole bunch of others too.
I saw this.
Rumor
like,
is Simon might even help out.
Do you know what's funny? It's like who like it's just who will maintain Impeller? Everyone. Like there's loads of people, and I'll have to go to the second point here. What makes you think that the Google employees won't just continue? Yeah. Even if Google retract funding and they get started onto another project, what makes you think they've just stopped doing stuff on Flutter? If they've been working on this project for so long, and that was to happen, but we've talked about this hypothetical that's never going to happen because Google are using it themselves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like even if it would happen in the worst case scenario, it's still open source. It's still, like, as you are saying, it can be picked up by anyone, and you are not vendor locking. Okay, there will be no features, no new discovery or anything, but you can still use the framework. You can still use the new app. You can still build your app. You can still build new apps. So that's good thing.
It would almost be a good thing, you see. And the reason for that is that how many times do people say, well, when are they going to put this in the framework? And the answer is when you put it in and submit a PR. Well, maybe finally people will get it and start doing it.
Yeah.
Instead of waiting for the team to do everything.
It may be less politics, because also with big corporations politics are also involved, internal politics, external politics. So some things may land faster.
I want to talk about a couple of things. There's a limit to what you want to put in Flutter in the engine, and that comes into play in the specific example. I just want to name this because a lot of people don't realize. So the engine, which is the bit that does all the rendering of the pixels, that contains Impeller, all the C++ code that's compiled, that ships as is as one big block in every single application. That's your minimum amount of disk space and usage that every app is going to have. Hang on.
So keep it to a minimum.
So keep it to a minimum is what they're trying to do. But it also means that they have savings. They're like trying to save every kilobyte. They want to keep just pushing that down because it would explode out of control otherwise, right? Like you really need to keep an eye on that because that is your fundamental basis for every application, right? Now, there are ways to do this differently. Like you could actually have different different variations, different variants of the Flutter engine that included different things. And then when you build with that thing, it would use that variant, right? Now you could do that kind of thing, but suddenly now you've got a management problem and build problem and CI problem. You've got other technical hurdles to overcome. It's like, keep it simple, right? So, but if it's Flutter code, if it's Dart and Flutter code, then just ship it in a library, right? Because it's also tree shaking as well, right? When you build your app, and that's built on top. And this is the same problem. That is not a new problem for for Google or for any team. It's the same problem that Android, for example, has had. The text box, let's say the text box or the dialogue or all these other widgets that you want to use, they're built into Android already. When you build your app, you're targeting that version of Android with those widgets, and then they go ahead and change the widgets in a later version, and your app would break. So instead, what you do is you ship the compatibility widgets alongside your inside your application, and it works on all the versions that were previously there. The idea is they've already been doing this, shifting more and more stuff out of the main framework into supporting libraries because they just include what you need to build your application. It's the same thing. Same thing we see here with Flutter and Dart. It's like, why do I have a separate package, not a Dart package for this? Well, why not? It literally makes zero difference to the way that you build your app, the way you work with your app, and anything else. It's still first party. It's still made by the same people. It's just not part of the SDK shipment. It's in addition to it. Makes zero difference.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you can't put everything in there. This goes way, way, way back to a conversation that Matt Sullivan and I had a long time ago when he was still heading their DevRel. The short version is I was telling him that it looked like Flutter was in a position to take over what Java used to do with the JVM. And I'm sorry, with the JRE, the Java runtime environment. And Matt immediately said, "Oh, no. And I was like, why? I mean, we can release all these platforms. It'd be great. And he's like, yes, but. The but was, in order to do things like that, you have to build in support for every different type of camera, for every different type of microphone. You have to build in hardware support because now you're turning it into something that is like the Java runtime environment." And Matt was like, no way. There aren't enough people. We don't want to bloat Flutter with all of this garbage that it just doesn't need. So they're trying. And the thing is anything that goes in the framework has to be maintained. Always remember that. Why don't we put this in? Why don't we put that in? Because it has to be maintained by somebody and they don't have the people.
So the thing is, right, any updates to those are going to come out in the next version of Flutter and not independently. When a bug gets fixed, it could be in an independent package, right? A la video player. Video player is definitely something that a lot of apps are going to use, but it's a separate package. It's a first-party package, but it's a separate package because that's going to have bugs. They're going to update. They're going to have new features, functionality, new codecs. That is completely a separate, mission and storyline to what the main Flutter repository is trying to do. It's a separate package, right? Yep. There you go. Anyway, moving on. Unless you got anything else to add.
Let's get past the Chicken Little. Oh no, the sky is falling. All right. Oh, look, Simon. Sticky headers in both directions. You have a new project.
We demoed this the other week.
In both directions?
Yeah, we had that thing that stuck the bottom screen to the top of the screen. In the viewport.
I remember. Yeah, I do. I do remember that.
Am I going to have to go look at my?
Yeah, Faisal. I hope I pronounced that right. I know another Faisal. He'll be on that for a minute. Let me see here. Rith, I'm looking at your question, and it really is not a Flutter question.
Stick it on anyway.
What are the recommended steps and technologies to implement? In other words, you want a whole tech stack.
No, wait, what?
What are the recommended steps and technologies, aka a tech stack, to implement face and body filters, enhancing skin appearance, body slimming? That's Flutter is okay. We got to remember what Flutter is and what it isn't. Yeah. Flutter is a UI toolkit. It builds the UI that you see.
Right, but this is a fine question because within a Flutter app, How would you approach this within a Flutter app? Is the question, right? Like, what is the recommended steps, and how would you approach it with the Flutter app? Well, first of
which
all,
technologies would you use for your face and body filters?
First of all,
TensorFlow.
TensorFlow, yeah. So TensorFlow Lite.
TF Lite.
See, now they're giving you a tech stack.
Yep.
It just.
Not really a stack, just a library.
What's the
TF
website
Lite?
that can? I hate Google for this. Really do. They decided to change the name of like the TF Lite hub. TF Hub. It was tfhub.dev. They decided to change it to some other weird name.
TensorFlow.org?
No.
It's like pub.dev, I think.
Yeah, it's weird. Hang on.
It's their version of pub.dev. I don't know what it's called.
For the life of me, it's like Grumpy or something. It's called like some weird name. Why can't I just why Google? Why you know what?
Simon, you're supposed to be looking for the other thing.
No, it's this TensorFlow. This is gonna. How is this not?
We
like,
will get back
first
to the
result?
sticky headers, I promise.
Kaggle. I mean, who the hell calls it Kaggle?
Oh,
Like-
the one with a K. That's what that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got notebooks and stuff.
Yeah. So this is Kaggle, and this is actually a Google. There's actually a Google official Google project and everything else. And you can go get data sets and models and various other things, giving you everything.
They have these things that they call Kaggle notebooks, which I was never able to get to work. I think they might be like Jupyter notebooks, maybe.
I'm sure you can. I don't know what I'm even looking for in here. Face detection, face recognition, blah blah blah. Like you'll find. Honestly, you can just Google that. Right. The point here is, you want to find yourself something that's going to do image processing, and then the camera plugin has a camera stream feature, which will stream frames of images to your app, and then you put them through the filter and then you display them on the screen. There you go. You just done yourself a filter. There you go.
Simon, go back to work.
Oh yeah. What was that?
Oh, Randall, here's a good one for you. Mr. GDE. Any good resources to learn the internal workings of Dart and Flutter? In fact, I remember there's a section of the docs all about this.
Yeah, there's a section of the Flutter docs that talk about that over in the left bar there, down towards the bottom, down towards the interesting gutsy parts of it.
You going to show them?
No.
I'm trying,
too
folks.
lazy.
I'm trying. I promise.
I know. I'm very trying. That's the problem. See where I went.
No comment.
It's down to Flutter concepts, I think, is the area. Architectural overview, inside Flutter, understanding constraints, build modes, how to reload,
Can you share your screen?
resources. Oh, I guess I could do that if I remembered how.
I will get them trained right eventually, I promise.
Let's see here. Present.
Welcome to my world.
Share screen. Window. This.
Don't worry, Derek. You're going to be taking over for me here in about 7 minutes.
This right here. This stuff. The architectural overview and inside Flutter.
Oh yeah, all of those are really helpful. Everyone should read them. This is one of the
constraints. Definitely, everybody should read this.
Yep.
That one's
just all of them. All of those Flutter concepts.
Yeah.
Marcelo Glassberg, Mark, thank you. The guy who wrote that has been around Flutter for a very long time now, since I think the beginning of beta.
Well, this is the one I can never find when I'm trying to look for it, which is common Flutter errors. I have to remember what the keyword is.
There's something to bookmark.
Yeah. Set state called during build. Yeah. One of them had like what to do with red and yellow underlined text.
What was
and I can't
the
remember.
question?
That one
Sorry.
is that it doesn't have a material to draw on.
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember what page actually has that described on it. It's somewhere, and I can't ever find it. Every time I see it, I go, "Oh, I'm going to remember this," and then I don't remember that. But anyway, that's the section that you want to be looking at here. Let me get
Okay.
switched back here
So
now.
the question was, how do you make stuff stick to the
Yes.
top and bottom? And I posted a link to a gist in the chat, but so this gist called it Sliver Magic because I don't know why. And we made this like little sliver scroll reveal, and then this custom overflow box thing would pin to the top and bottom, and I did some custom render sliver stuff with scrolling. I'm pretty sure this was what it was. Now I say this,
Shivan,
I'm
you
not
just
sure.
did it again.
Maybe
I
this
know.
wasn't.
I took them out.
Look, I think I should be doing what you wanted to do.
Do not keep pasting your question multiple times in the chat. You lose your spot.
Shivan, you
just
were
did
like
it just
close to
now.
next,
Yep.
and you just went to the bottom. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Sorry, but this is the only way we can keep people from pounding the same questions again and again and again.
Yeah.
It used to be a big problem.
Yep.
And we would end up having the same question in our list a whole bunch of times, because what happens is we see the messages that you do, except if you put a link in it, then you see it and we don't. The whole message, not just a link. But we put a star on it and it puts it into a special starred list. Well, we were having problems with the same questions appearing 3, 4, 5 different times in the list. So we had to make this rule.
Right.
So we double check the list a whole bunch of times. And if we see that somebody asked a question a while ago and then they ask it again.
Nothing to be sorry about. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Simple. We're trying
All
to
right.
make the show as efficient as possible.
Yes.
Kind of.
And we are really trying really hard to get everybody in order. What you might not understand, if you're sitting there thinking, well, it's been forever since I asked my question, it's because we take anywhere between 4 and 6 minutes per question.
Yeah.
Right
Now
we have
if we don't
7.
continue.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now we have 7. So you're looking at least 28 minutes.
Come on.
Before we get to the last person. All right.
Okay.
No,
In
if
fact,
Simon gets on a roll, it could be longer.
We should probably cut off questions within the next couple of minutes, because otherwise we're going to be here till way past my
Passkeys versus
bedtime.
passwords, and this is probably going to have to be my last one.
What about it? What's your thoughts?
Thoughts on passkeys versus passwords?
Okay, go for it.
I'm waiting for you.
I mean, it's like saying, like, should I use 2-factor authentication or not? If you want to, go for it.
Well, what do you think the pros and cons are, Simon?
It's more secure. If you lose your key, you are screwed. No, I mean, like to be fair, like just use them. Like it makes no difference. Support them, use them, make it happen. Here you go.
You heard it. It's like when the lady of the house asks a non-question question, it's, are you taking out the garbage later? That's not a question. When Simon says, go ahead and use them, that's a non-answer answer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is it detrimental to use extensions extensively with widgets? Say that 10 times fast. Mm-hmm. Would there be drawbacks if I frequently use them with widgets?
As in class extensions?
That's what I'm wondering. Well,
I'm assuming that's what they mean.
Extend a widget. First of all, you would have to.
Well, you can. I mean, you can just put an extension on any class, right? The problem here is that the problem with extensions are they're static, right? Well, gone.
But a widget itself is the extension. X extends stateless widget. X
No.
No.
If you've got an extension, if you've got a class extension, right? Extension X on widget Y, right?
Okay.
In code, right? You're just adding functions. You're adding static functions essentially to an existing widget or state or whatever. The problem is it's the extension. That is a misuse of extensions. Really, the point here is you're adding these. It's the same as you could literally just be putting static function, like a static function in all your places, and then it's exactly the same end result. And the problem you've got is you end up with this what's the word? Very untestable code, right?
I would think you'd want to look at something alternatively if you want common behavior across a broad category of widgets, that you would do that by using mix-ins.
Or just wrap a widget. Use
See,
composition.
well, that's what I was thinking is you can't extend a widget, but you can use mix-ins, you can use a with.
Yep.
You know, things like that. But yeah, I mean, I guess you can use an extension.
One problem
That's
with extension is that if you accidentally remove an input that is defining the extension, your code will not compile because of the missing extension. So you need to know from where you are importing your extension.
You know, between the fact that a widget, a class extends widget, and you can use extensions on classes, and we have theme extensions. This is starting to sound like flexible, flex fit.
Welcome to
I
the
did
world
an
of
entire
programming.
talk on this. Maybe I can do it on this one too.
Wait, welcome.
I should have done E first, then F.
That's one of the hard things in programming, naming things.
Yeah.
It's like there's only so many words for the same type of action,
Yeah.
right? There's only so many words to describe the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's that thing where you need to differentiate two things as being different, but they perform a similar action. So you name them actions or events or something, you know, and yeah, it's interesting.
Container.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Next.
What was it? Oh, yes. Where's Brian Egan when I need him? I remember there was one day I was talking to him. I said, Brian, in your documentation, you can't tell me that the reducer is the thing that reduces. If I knew what reducing was, I wouldn't be reading your documentation in the first place.
And don't get me started on monad.
No.
Inherited widget is Flutter's monad. No. What's the appropriate package to showcase my design system? I really...
What do you mean?
Widget
I don't even know the question.
I don't even know what you mean.
Widget book?
Rephrase your question. Oh, yeah. I mean, like, if you showcase widgets, I guess, yes, widget book. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of that would be similar to that.
I'm just weird it says package. It's like, how would it would be like, how can I showcase my design system would be the question then, right? Like, what is the appropriate package? I'm like, is that really what they're asking? Maybe re-ask your question. Let's carry on.
Yeah, I'm looking at this one. This is definitely going to have to be a Simon Panda podcast. How can I create a Flutter app that uses USSD with multiple interactions in terms responses to the USSD network? I found a number of plugins on Pub, but they don't work properly.
File bugs, file issues. Get them to work.
And it's actually a little bit after the hour here, so I am going to have to split.
All right, I'll take over.
Derek, you have the duty.
Yep.
I know.
I'm so sorry.
But I'll also be going in like 20 minutes. So
yeah, we'll start wrapping up. Have we called last questions yet?
Yes, a few minutes ago.
So there are 2 left after this one.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Not bad.
And Shivam, you're next. Don't ask again. You're next. All right. I have to go do a Gemini training seminar. So you all have fun.
Cool. I was just thinking actually, I've never actually heard of USSD before.
I had to Google it too.
I just checked. Yeah, it's basically SMS, right? Like it's data SMS basically. Yeah, referred to as quick codes or feature codes in the communications protocol GSM network. 182 alphanumeric characters long, unlike short message service. I create real-time connections during a USSD session.
Sounds like it was data before data became really prevalent.
Yeah, is this still relevant? It does say it USS service can be supported over LTE 5G here.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
there you go. While GSM is being phased out in 2020s, 2G and 3G technologies, USSD services can be supported over 3 LTE, 5G, and IMS.
I
Okay,
bet it's
so
still just
basic.
for legacy stuff.
No, I'm not
Probably.
sure that's what they're saying here.
Huh.
Oh, wait. USSD is commonly used by prepaid GSM cellular networks to query the available balance, then check balances. I mean, the fact of the matter is this what you're talking about, first of all?
Probably. 'Cause it
What
said
is
USSD
USSD
twice.
network? Yeah, but USSD network. I'm wondering if this is like something else. I don't know. I'm very confused.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, this is not like a Flutter specific thing, right? You talked about a number of plugins. Well, don't use you can just do it yourself. So, I mean, yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm not actually seeing.
There's probably mobile packages for it for
Maybe
iOS and Android. And I
maybe
guess
name
you
a
could.
package because if this is like the star, if this is like you can dial. Well, if people don't know this on your phone, you can dial *#06# and you get up your IMEI number and your IMSI number and all the kind of like IDs for your device. And there's a bunch of those, which is like displaying your do a RAM check, displaying like your Bluetooth address and you're getting your SSID and all these kind of things. Like there's different like codes that you can dial in to get various bits of data about your device. Yeah, is that what you're talking about? It'd be nice if Pandy, you can maybe update your question with a bit more information.
Yeah, we'll watch for it. Otherwise,
Maybe example package that you're talking about.
Yeah, we've got just two more in the queue here. This one finally Shavam's got after the fourth repeat of this question.
apparently Android. Well, sorry, I'm just going to bring this up actually. Sorry, before on the previous questions point.
Okay.
I just thought I'd just stick USSD in
2 years ago.
In the old thing. Well, this is it, right? But this says uses send USSD method on Android, and you need this permission, and then you can make a request and get the response. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, and then you can. Wait, sorry, you can't see.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently, yeah, you put your string in, and it will go make the request, and you can do that. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
What's not working about it? I mean, the thing is, you could just do your own plugin, right? That calls this function with a string. It's not super difficult. There you have to also declare that you have telephony radio access as a feature. We have to request this feature from the device, API level 33. So it might be that you're trying to use this on a newer version of Android, and you don't have the requirements here. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything magical here, like why it wouldn't work. Right. Anyway, back to where we were.
Okay.
When using block, creating too many states and events is okay, or should I use one class with copy with to maintain state? Too many states is difficult to maintain. I mean, I had to try to understand your question, to be honest. I mean,
your state is your state. You have state. If you're trying to maintain that so that you can share it, it has to be a certain number of moving parts.
Yeah. Or should I use one class with copy with to maintain state? Too many states. I mean, it doesn't matter if you did one class with copy with. I mean, it depends on your use case. I'm sorry, I can't really.
Yeah.
There's no particular thing. If you're rebuilding a bunch of widgets because your state has changed, then maybe you should be changing a different state or breaking your state up so that only that change of that component affects a rebuild of a widget. But unless it's causing any problems, why try and fix it? So monitor your app, profile your app, see how it's reacting.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
Last
if it's
question.
about if it's about too many states are difficult to maintain, then make less states. There you go.
Yeah. Yep. All right.
I mean, it sounds
What?
silly, but I'm not trying to make a joke out of it. But
No.
you've answered your own question there, right? Like the point here is if you're finding it hard to maintain that many states, don't use block, use something else. Can join some of your states together if they can be. Yeah, I mean, like here's the thing. This is the problem that happens with these state management. People go, I want to obey this to the nth degree. And it means that everything must be a state, everything must be an event, every change must be this. And you're going to end up with a ton of extra little classes that have one function in or one parameter in or a handful of parameters. And you've just given yourself lots and lots of lines of code to maintain.
Yeah, too much rigor is never advisable here. And like you were talking about earlier today, which was, build the minimum thing that works and then build on that rather than trying to design and architect a huge setup first when you're not going to need most of those moving parts probably ever.
Yeah.
So good plan that way. All right, final question. I'd like to create a Rubik's Cube in Flutter. I don't understand how to make it rotate. Math is how you make it rotate. Lots of math.
Yeah, I mean, so
how do you represent
it'd be great
that?
to understand what you're actually. You say you're trying to make a Rubik's Cube, as in you're trying to make a 3-dimensional Rubik's Cube that rotates on the screen. I'm assuming that's what you mean. This isn't the first time that's been done. Basically, it turns around doing the math to render something in 3D. I don't know what to suggest here. Like at the end of the day, is you're doing with flat surfaces. So you've actually got there's a nice way of achieving that is just with matrix. So you do each side of your Rubik's Cube. If you're doing it without strictly with perspective, which is normally when you see a cube on the screen, you don't really have proper perspective on them. You're sort of doing this like orthogonal projection almost. You're only ever going to see 3 sides at any time. And that means you do 3 widgets and they use what's called a transform widget, and you can provide a matrix. And
a skew.
You basically you're just rotating them and doing the math. There is a what was the there was a 3D. What was that 3D example that did this? It moved your mouse and did it. Whelm Lima did one.
Yeah. And also, there's 2 problems actually in building a Rubik's Cube. There's the math of figuring out how the rotations transform the current faces. And then there's also the math of trying to represent that 3D virtual object in 2D space. So both of them are interesting and fascinating problems. Nothing I want to tackle today. So have fun doing this if this is what you're up to. It sounds like a great project if you're trying to take something on and learn something new. But unless somebody's paying me to do this, I'm probably not going to do it.
I literally just Googled it and up came a video of someone doing exactly this, making a cube that you can rotate in 3D on YouTube.
Wow.
I'll post this in the chat. There's your answer. I mean, I think, if you're searching for, if you're
easier, yes, do that.
If you're talking about like, I mean, there's your guide, and I just by giving you your guide and information.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. I think is it.
Well, hold on. Let's just.
There's a few more, but I don't know.
Let's see if they're quick ones.
Cache network image.
I feel like we were talking about some coding stuff earlier about doing an example or something. I forgot what it was.
It was the sliver thing, but you've already done it, so we already pasted that.
Was it
the sliver thing? Okay. Remember the sliver top and bottom, magic sliver you called it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's something else, but okay.
Let's see. No. Okay. Yeah. That's a good question.
Choose Flutter as my first job without prior native exposure. I can code debug intermediate level and know about native ecosystem, but jobs require native experience. Learn the native. I mean,
Yeah,
if the job requires it, I'll be honest with you, most jobs don't. They just want someone that's got is experienced developer.
I have no native experience going into my Flutter experience. Flutter was my first mobile framework. So,
yeah.
on the other hand, I have a 45-year career before that in other things, so that hopefully helped out.
The other side of this, there's Udemy courses, there's open source, there's open courses that don't cost anything.
Yeah.
Google offer, I think they still offer what's it called, the micro degree. Is it called a micro degree in Android micro degree? There's a bunch of like learning things that you can get from GDGs and all these groups. I mean, the point here is, I think if you've got proof that you can do what you're saying, right? Like here, look what I built. Go in for the interview anyway, right? And if they start asking you about that, they'll say, "I'm sorry, I don't have any experience in that," right? If they say yes, you're great, and you explain to them that you haven't got much native experience, it's quite limited, but you feel like you're experienced enough to pick it up, and you've done XYZ plugin or something else, you've got some native experience. I'm sure they'll be okay. Join us. We like you. We like the way you're. What's it? Like the squad of your gypser, and
there you go.
And employ you right on the spot to join their pirate ship. There you go.
Here's a couple we can probably answer. How about this? Firestore retrieve an array with lots of data can cause jank. Even if I run it inside an isolate, what can I do to avoid the jank? Don't.
I mean, the answer here is if you're retrieving an array with that much data, is that like a megabyte of data? I mean, how much are you retrieving?
I think there is a limit on Firebase for.
Yeah, I think it's a megabyte per document, right? But that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if you're saying you've got that much data, it's causing jank. That means it's got to be that much data that you're trying to transfer and pass within one frame. And you said even if you're running tasks inside an isolate, well, that can be because it's janking on the native side. I think the answer is break up your data.
There's a follow-up here. Hold on, where is it? Right there. Fetching. What are you parsing coming back from Firebase? It's already objects, sort of.
The send and the list to maintain isolate. But the point here is Roberto, like if you don't pass anything and you're saying it's still janks, then it's nothing to do with fetching and parsing. It's happening on the native side. Again, I don't know. You're talking about what you're doing with an isolate. Again, it depends on how you're doing that, right? Like, there's nothing. Also, the janking. Are you just experienced during debugging? Have you done a profile? Have you done a release build? Because again, you probably won't be doing that. That's the other thing to mention here, right? Like,
and there's one more. Summary of 48 hours, giving them in batches. Still, it sounds like you should be pushing some of this processing back into Firebase so you just get summarized data already on the server side. I mean, that's the whole strategy of database reading. Push everything you can to the server.
If you're downloading that much data, you're having to pass it on the app side and do all this stuff. You're doing it wrong, really. What you should be doing is having a cloud function that reads the database, it munches it on the server side, and then spits out the JSON that you just need with your summary or whatever the data is that your app needs. Right? The weight is on the server side, they're not on the app side.
Yeah, paging in a cloud function, and that's also.
I mean, I've never experienced like a janky frame because of Firebase and a fetch. Never.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you're retrieving that could potentially be causing that. And I've retrieved quite a lot of data. Like if you're just doing that many requests and you're doing that much in one frame, then I think that I don't know. I just be concerned that you remember, Roberto, that you're now retrieving. Let's say you're retrieving 48 hours worth of documents or something, and there's one 1 per second or 1 per minute. Suddenly you're retrieving hundreds of thousands of documents. If you don't, like now that gets used by 10 users, now you're returning millions, and then it gets read by another 10 users. Now you're in billions of document requests per day.
You burn through the free tier pretty quickly with that.
Yeah. That was I going to say.
There's another thing to be said about this. So I do want to be clear. When you're managing, let's say Roberto, let's say you've got a count of how many, I don't know, alerts you've got in the last 48 hours. I don't know what you're building, but let's say it's that, right? Each time an alert happens, the server can get a you can set up a cloud function. So when a document is updated, it runs the cloud function. Then that can then go, oh, this is an alert. I'm going to update my count of alerts in the last 24 hours by 1, right? And that way, you're not reading all the documents every single time. You're not like munching through the data every single time. You're just updating your summaries as you go. And in doing so, it means that when the app wants to read those summaries, it just reads one document. Here's all the numbers. No processing. It's just there ready. And that's about pushing off the way that you do your events. It's a push-driven architecture instead of a polling or fetch-driven architecture, right? As the data changes, you're updating the results of whatever you're trying to show someone, so that when it fetches it, it's already ready. There's no processing. There's nothing you need to do. It's just there. Hopefully that helped.
Okay, last one. This is the last one I can find that was useful. I'm using cache network image and use a placeholder and an arrow widget. I have the URL of the image, but the URL does not contain the image. How will it be handled?
Well, it'd be an error.
Yeah, it'd be the arrow widget.
It show the error widget. There you go. I mean, to be honest, I have a problem. I'm talking to. Oh, excuse me, Renee. Renee is the author. Is guy in the community who's been around since day one. Who worked on Cache Network Image. The problem with Cache Network Image is missing a set of features. He started doing Octo Image to try and rectify this, and now Cache Network Image backed onto Octo Image. But I still feel like there's things that Cache Network Image does still not do nice and play nice. And I'd rather that a new version of Cache Network Image is released that breaks everyone on purpose to get them to update and use something new that supports things like it doesn't do image retrying. Right? That is, to me, is like, you're on a bad network connection, you can't fetch an image. Don't just error, just retry. Do an exponential backoff retry, that kind of thing. Oh, the image failed to download. I got like a network exception, like a socket exception on the finally retry to fail. Show a retry button, show a progress of download, so you can see it actually downloading an image. Like things that you want to do like that you I always end up just building my own widgets for or doing something like that, right? Same for caching layer, right? You end up caching them. It's a great drop-in, and I think that's the thing. Most people will just want a widget that you can just drop in, and it does all the image stuff for you, right? And sadly, I think that's what we're missing still. Like it's not there. A little bit more, it could be there.
Okay, well that's it. That's it for today.
Right. Well, thank you for joining us, Derek.
Thank you.
I think we're gonna have to have you back once you figure out your white labeling. You can tell us all about your mission that you went through and what you achieved.
Yeah. Thank you for helping me with that. I will definitely need to summarize it somewhere someday. Yeah, I'm thinking like maybe another Flutter London talk someday.
Right. I see. I just Roberto. It's lovely that you decided to store all your data in array to save them the cost of reading one document. Now you're seeing the other side of that, which is you're trying to read one big document. The same problem, like it matters not if it's broken up into smaller ones or bigger ones, right? That it's the way that you're doing it, right? Not the data itself, right? Anyway. Yeah. Right. I think we're going to call it there. Thanks everyone for joining us.
See you next week.
We'll see you. We haven't done live coding today. What we'll probably end up doing is I'll do another Simon Coding with Simon and Friends show that's separate, just because I think it keeps these ones more manageable and shorter for everyone. So I'll keep an eye on the Twitter, keep an eye on the YouTube, subscribe, all that jazz, and you'll get notifications when we
Watch the
publish the video.
skies. Watch the skies.
All right, everyone. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.